I'm going to go over here so I can hide because you can't see too much of me. My name is Rebecca Barnes, and I am from a small town in eastern Kentucky called Pikeville, a little mining town. And my sister was diagnosed with cancer in 2001, and that's when I moved to Lexington, Kentucky to help be a caregiver with my mom and dad. I told her story last year. This year it will be a different story. This is one of my very best friends that I'll be talking about, whose name is Scotty. We're talking about cost of care today, so there'll be issues in here in the story about people not having any insurance, inability to pay copay when you do have insurance, insurance companies choosing different medication than what the doctor prescribed for you and it not working or actually hurting you, the cost of not having any care and taking care of the body, mind, and spirit as a whole. Some of the people that I have met with this year, I'm going to go over first, just to talk about some of the things that happen in my community in Richmond, Kentucky, where I live. David is a car salesman in town. He needed insulin. He had had bariatric surgery, and after that, he had a lot of health issues, and with that, he did need insulin. He had insurance, but it was very expensive, the copay, so he was unable to get his insulin, and it was through talking with a lot of other people, calling insurance company over and over again, finally having the money that he could get his insurance. Diane is a coworker of mine. They changed her insulin, and she ended up in the ER because the new type of insulin did not work well with her, and it took her 3 months and multiple trips to the ER. My mother had her blood pressure and medication changed, and she ended up in the ER and almost died. The insurance company still, even with that ER visit, did not want to change her medication, so I got on the phone and called them with her, and we got that fixed. And my daughter this year was diagnosed with endometriosis that she's actually been dealing with for a long time, but she did not have insurance to cover it, so she just every month was in horrible pain. She finally had the surgery, and they told her that yes, the surgeon did take her insurance, and they actually did not. So she calls me one day a couple of months ago crying, saying, I have this huge bill, Mom. I thought my insurance would take care of it, and we barely have enough money to get food because her and her husband have chosen to be school counselors, and they don't make a whole lot of money. So those are just a couple of things in my community and for my family that we deal with. So obviously, if I live in a small community, you can imagine how many people this actually affects with the cost of care. Today, I'll be talking about my friend Scotty. You probably can't see a picture of him. I have him up here with me. Anyway, I know you can't see, but anyway, this is my friend Scotty. He gives the best hugs, very squishy person. Love him very much. Scotty was born to a single parent. His mom took care of him. They lived in Lexington, Kentucky. She worked multiple jobs in order to take care of him. He did not have insurance. She did not have insurance growing up, so he never saw the doctor. He ended up getting sick when he was in high school and had melanoma, and he was very lucky. They caught it early somehow, by the grace of God, I suppose. And, he was always scared. Like, I don't have insurance. I can't really go back to the doctor. I don't have the money. I'm just, and he dealt with a lot of issues about growing up in a single-family household. His mom was gone a lot, and so he had a lot of time to himself, which was not really a good thing. He found friendships in high school where they went to things called raves. And, they would go out on the weekends, and they would go dance, and they would have fun. And one night coming back, one of his best friends, it was his birthday, and there was like a caravan of cars going to this dance party. And he was like, hey, it's your birthday. You go to the front car. You get home sooner, see you there, man, and everything. And he rolled up on this, my friend Scotty rolled up on this really bad car accident. I was like, oh, that's really bad. Wow, wonder what's going on there. Continued on home, got home. And, he got this phone call. They went to sleep, got the phone call that morning that, are you okay? Are you alive? We don't know who was in the car. And he's like, what do you mean? And all 4 of the 5 people had died. The car had crashed, and just big fireball, and everyone had passed away except for the driver. And Scotty ended up having survivor's guilt, and it affected him deeply. And he carried that for a long time, and so he started drinking at a very young age, at 17. He left home when he was 18 and moved in with friends, and he became a chef, a very good chef. I mean, oh my God, this guy could cook. And he continued with alcohol, and he ended up losing the job because he would get up late because he had drank and he was hungover, and all of this time needing therapy, needing mental health care that he wanted to get. He wanted to get therapy. He knew something was wrong, but he didn't get it. And so this continued. The drinking continued, and he ended up becoming homeless on and off. And this is a really great guy, by the way. Every time I moved, he would help me and my kids move. When I was diagnosed with celiac and he didn't have a place to live, I said, you come here and stay with me. And he cooked all this amazing gluten-free food and helped take care of me. And love Jeopardy, love Alex Trebek. This guy, I'm telling you. Again, best hugs ever, and a really great listener, because he had been through so much himself. He really could understand people, and he would just sit there and listen. And sometimes he wouldn't say anything after you talked because he knew, nothing else needed to be said. He was just there to listen. That's just the kind of guy he was, and everybody loved him, and everybody knew him. He ended up being a radio disc jockey for one of the local University of Kentucky, radio shows and did house music, and even met more people and celebrities. And it was just really weird because here's this guy who's just, this life he's living. It's just so weird. And his care, his health just got worse and worse. And I took him in again. I was like, come on in. If you want to stop drinking, I'll do the best I can. I'll give you a place, and, you'll have food. And, I caught him drinking, and I said, you can't drink in the house, and you got to go. And so he left. He ended up going to a shelter, and he ended up going to the hospital because he had a seizure. He had tried to stop drinking, and then the withdrawals caused seizures. So at any rate, they had put him on a bunch of different medications, and I was like, you need to get on a medical card, you need to do something. But because he would work for a while, he'd have insurance, and then he'd end up losing his job, and then he'd lose the insurance, and it was just this constant battle. So he would go to the ER so he could get care. And so one day they'd put him on this type of medication for his heart problems because he had high blood pressure, and then he couldn't sleep, the insomnia from the PTSD, so they put him on trazodone. And, he's telling these people, I'm also an alcoholic. And so he's on multiple medications while he's drinking, and I'm like, you're going to die. This is what's going to happen. I was like, you need therapy, you need these things. And going to the doctor with him, and they were just like, we don't know what to do with you. And I was like, well, he needs therapy. Can't we get a referral? Nobody would do a referral. It was just one thing after another, and he just kept slipping through the cracks. And so February of this year, he had been living with a friend and taking care of his friend who had MS, and cooking for him and doing all the duties around the home. And he went to sleep one night and he didn't wake up. And so he passed away this February. And so it is so important that when we think about cost of care, that it just encompasses so many people, and that also I think his story is a good story because a lot of people think about, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, homelessness, that, oh, well, they made this choice. But for him, it started off with, survivor's guilt and PTSD that was not dealt with, and not having insurance or not having the referrals, or just falling through the cracks over and over again, that we need to think about having empathy for these people. And that we can all be patient advocates, with our friends, with our families, and we can, spread that to other people. You don't have to have a job where you get paid money to be a patient advocate. You can be a patient advocate in the grocery store, in your doctor's office, wherever that you are. And so I have so many strong people in my life, people that, may not be here today because of whatever has happened, if they had cancer and they've passed away, or the things that they've dealt with, these very strong people, and their caregivers that are so strong that they just back them up in whatever they do. And that gives me strength because, you know, it's up to us who are still here to continue for them, you know. So I'll leave this with one of my favorite quotes. It's by Dale Carnegie, and it says, "Most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seemed to be no hope at all." And I know coming here year after year and having some bills that don't get passed, that I just want you to know that there's always someone that hears your story, that it gives them courage to keep going, and it means something. So everything you do, no matter how small it is, means something. Thank you all for sharing your stories and letting me talk.